Hi everybody, Lori here from Unique in the Creek, here to show you a really easy flower wreath you can make using our board without cutting any petals. Yep, you heard me right, no petal cutting, so no fraying. And this is a really easy wreath that you can teach for a workshop, or if you want to start and you're just a beginner, this is a really good one. I like this one. You can whip it up in like half an hour. So to teach, you can easily teach it in about an hour and a half. You know, people chit chat and stuff. But all you need is a roll of 10-inch deco mesh. Now I'm using the hot pink again to go with my collection of flowers I'm using for my backyard. Some yellow, I'm using yellow for my center. So whatever color you want for your center, you can also use deco tubing. You can use burlap for your center. You can use fabric. You can use whatever you want. So you can be creative. You can also still use the styrofoam, but with our new board, we wanted to give you an option of using other materials and not having to use so many supplies like gluing and styrofoam, because styrofoam is quite expensive. So we wanted to give you this option. You can use the new holes, or you can choose not to use them. It's totally up to you. They are there for you to use. So I'm just going to put this yellow aside. I like to use my measuring tool. This is really handy. So if you don't have like one from a kit that you got from us, just cut a piece of cardboard in a 9-inch length, and it doesn't matter really what width. Actually, I would probably prefer a little wider, but just as long as it's 9 inches long, and you'll see why. It's great for measuring tool, and it's great for like cutting your mesh and everything. This one we don't need to cut mesh, but we are going to measure our mesh. So I'll show you in a second what we're going to do with that. You need a bunch of zip ties. I like to use 7-inch zip ties, but you can use 6-inch, 7-inch, 8-inch. I wouldn't go any higher than 8-inch because we do have the holes so that the heads of the zip tie can pop right into the holes, so you have a nice, neat, flat back. If you only have 8-inch, it's no worries. It's just your heads of your zip tie will just stick out a little bit further than if you had smaller zip ties. Okay. You need a string for hanging your board. I just use twine from the dollar store, and scissors. Now I got my electric scissors here, but you just need normal scissors because there really isn't any cutting to do. So I'll probably just use actually normal scissors. So what you're going to do is unwrap your deco mesh. Now, if you have really thin deco mesh, like this yellow is really thin. It is it's made in Taiwan, and it's really thin. And you can tell like the big difference in sizes. If you do have a thin mesh, you may want to use 2 rolls of the thin mesh when you're making this flower. So instead, when I start making this, actually that would be really pretty. Maybe I'll do this. You could just put one over top of the other. Actually, I think I'm going to do that. And we'll strap it in, and you'd have to use two rolls at the same time. Okay? Maybe. Anyways, so our board consists of a whole bunch of holes, but when you really look at it, they're actually perfectly dimensioned holes. So the outside holes, there's 8 of them. That's the first circle. And then these holes right here are the next circumference of the circle. And then these ones, and these ones, and then these ones. There's 5 circumferences. There is a Unique in the Creek map that you can print out, and you can actually write on your map of where you want to place your petals and stuff like that. You can also write on our system. So that's what I like to do. So when we start this wreath, I'm not going to put green petals around this wreath. I am going to use all these holes with just the deco mesh. So I am going to use, these holes are going to be my first ones. So I don't know if you can see that. So I'm going to be going around. So this is going to be hole number 1. And I'm right-handed, so I go around counterclockwise. So that'll be hole number 2, 3, and then this is 8. Once you get to 8, we're going to scooch up over here, and this is we're going to zip tie this in, and this is going to be 9, 10, 11. And you're going to go around that way until we get here, and then we're going to scooch over to this one, and then continue around. It'll make more sense once I start doing it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is get a zip tie. Oh, actually, the first thing we're going to do is I always put my hanging string in first before I start my wreath. That way I'm not searching around. Now I am using the natural colored side because I'm using a darker colored mesh. If you were using white or cream, you could use the white side of the frame. Okay, and I'm just going to, so I just double knotted a piece of twine, fed it through the 2 hanging holes, and double knotted it. Okay, so I'm going to use these 2. Hopefully I'll have enough yellow. It should be. So I'm just going to kind of scrunch it up in my hand. Now this is going to be a little bit more difficult because I am using 2, but it will make it really pretty. So I am going to lock this or tie this in here. Let's see if you guys can see me. So what I'm going to do is just go over, I'm going through this hole, going over top of the mesh and through the corresponding hole. Now you can just pick whatever hole you want, and this is just anchoring your mesh in to the frame for right now. Okay, now do this nice and tight. Now you don't have to pop it in the hole. I still have the tape on here. But you just want to anchor it in. Okay. Alrighty. So now we have it anchored in. You're going to take your measuring tool. Now what we're basically doing is making poofs, people like to call it, and put that off. But we're just going to put them, instead of, when you make poofs, you usually do it like this. We are going to just make the same kind of poof, but we're going to kind of go outwards. Okay, so I'll show you in things. So we're going to do 9-inch all the way around the wreath. So what I mean by that is, okay, take your pieces of mesh. Now you may have 1 or 2, like I have 2. I didn't anchor this in very well. Okay, there we go. Okay, just don't pull too tight because it'll slide out of the, that's what's happening to me. See, normally people would like do a retake on that, but you know what? I make mistakes just as much as everybody else does, so I like to show the best teacher is a teacher that can fix mistakes, and making mistakes just helps you learn. And especially when you're teaching and somebody does make a mistake, you know, oh, I made that mistake before, and you know how to fix it. So that makes a really good workshop teacher. So if you make a mistake, do not worry about it. Just try and figure out how to fix it. It's my best advice. Okay, let's try this again. So I'm going to stick my 9-inch piece underneath, and it's just a measuring tool. Now, if you have a measuring tape, you can use that, but this works just really well because you just kind of pull it up. As soon as your mesh is at the end of your measuring board, we're going to go this hole. So instead of poofing this way, I'm kind of bringing it around. There we go. Okay, so I still have the middle of my scrunch here. So I'm going to go up through this hole right here. So I'm going through the back, up, and then I'm going to come over top of the mesh and around, and I'm zipping on the outside of the frame. Okay, try not to bring your mesh with that. And then you can, as you're zipping tight and pulling tight, you can bring this around and pop it in the hole. There we go. So that's your first one. I've never done one with the two pieces of different colored mesh, but hey. Okay. Again, and it's much easier with just one roll of mesh. Obviously, you can see I'm struggling here trying to keep these two together, but if I can do it, anybody can. So I'm measuring 9 inches again. I'm going to go around, and the next one is, just kind of keep these tucked in, this outside hole here. Now you can do this so easily, just sitting back in your recliner with your feet up. It's almost like knitting. Alrighty. Maybe if I do put these on the ground, it'll be easier. Yep. Alright, stick this under. Pull out your 9 inches. Kind of poof it up to the side. Now, if you're making a 21-inch one, you would do the same with the 21-inch as I'm doing right now. But once you get into these holes right here, you're going to skip every hole. So you'll put a zip tie in here with a poof, skip, and put a zip tie here. Skip, zip tie here, skip, zip tie here. Because the 21 inch is just so thick when you scrunch it up. You don't need to use every hole. So you probably only use half a roll of 20-inch mesh to do this flower wreath. Okay, so I'm going to pause it here and I'm going to continue. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to stop over at 4 and I'm going to stop back, and once you hit the last one, before you scooch over to the next holes, come back, press play, because I'm going to show you what to do on this hole right here that we've anchored the mesh into. Okay? Okay, so we're back and we've hit where we've anchored our mesh. So you're gonna again still make a 9-inch poof, bring it out, and this time you're gonna go through the outside hole here. So it's already shared right here with a zip tie already. Sorry. Okay, and then you're just gonna bring that in like you did around the others. Okay, so now we have the outside of our flower form already. You can see that. So now we want, when we're doing this, we want our poofs to, this next set of poofs, we want to poof, how do I explain this? You want it to poof, so it'll poof here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to scooch, that's a word my nephews use, so I kind of got used to it. So I'm just going to pull my mesh straight flat. So we're right here. I'm going to bring it and I'm going to anchor it into these 2 holes right here. So right in front of this poof. Okay, so just bring it straight flat. We're going to zip tie it into that board there. kind of crossing over the, there we go, the tail right here. So it's gone over and across. Okay, so now we can start the next set of row. Because what we want to happen, why I scooch it over, is because I want the poof to be poofed right in this area, and we're going to anchor it here. Does that make sense? So it'll cover up this zip tie here. So once you keep adding layers, the layers that you keep adding will just keep covering up all the zip ties in your flower. Okay. Now you can fold your mesh completely in half and make a petal like that, or you can just grab the bunch of mesh like I've been doing. I just try and keep the two together. Like I said, I've never done a double colored one with this method before, but I think it'll be pretty. Okay, so I'm gonna again stick my board underneath, pull out my mesh till it's 9 inches. I'm gonna I just kind of with my hand go like this, because you don't want it, you can have it like this and twist it into an S. You'll see what in the end. But I'm going to poof it up to here, so it's covering here, and then I'm going to zip tie it right here. So again, going through the back, the closest hole to the center with your zip tie. That way all the heads are facing the same way, if you keep that a rule of thumb. And you're going to zip tie it and pop it into the hole. So you pull and pop it in the hole while you're pulling. And now you can undo your poofs right now, or you can wait until you've done the whole row and go around and open it up. So I'm just going to show you for this first one what it does look like. Again, I'm using 2 colors. So if you just kind of push it to the side, you can see that it is, so that this one is covering this zip tie. So as you're adding each row, it's going to keep pushing everything back, so everything will be filled in and nice and full. So I'm just making it nice and neat here, like that. I like the kind of yellow showing through. That's cute. Yeah, I'm going to use nice bright colors for the back of the pool to make it very summery. Where did I just put my measuring? Here it is. Okay. So again, so what we're doing is we're skipping a hole here. So you're going to pull your mesh out. You're going to make your poof, so just bring it in. So again, we're skipping this hole right here and going to the following hole. So up, over, down, zip, and pop in the hole. Like I said, this is a good wreath to sit back and this zip tie doesn't want it. That's what teeth are for. I usually have needle nose pliers because my hands are so dry, but I don't know where they are. Okay, so as you can see, it's starting to take shape. Now, if your mesh keeps sticking to it itself, an easy way to also to do is you can tip this kind of sideways so your mesh is kind of hanging in the air. Pull it, bring it down, and zip it in. So, because when you're going around the board, the mesh tends to want to stick to itself and to the other poofs. So sometimes if you just tip it upside down and grab your mesh, it's easier than trying to pull and fight with it. And So once we go around, so it's every other hole. Okay, so I'm going to stop it here, and I'm going to get you guys to continue on. You're going to skip this hole. We're going to zip it here. So we're going to do 9 inches, push it back, and then zip it here. Once it's zipped, 9 inches, push it back, zip it here. So when you get around to here, oh, I forgot I moved my camera. When you get around to here, press play again, and I'm going to show you how to start the next row. Okay? I'll see you in a sec. Okay, so you've gone around and you're on your last poof for this row. So what we're going to do is we are going to tie it in right here. So how we do that, I lost my measuring thing again. Where did I put it? Oh, on the floor. I'm just the messiest crafter. Yeah, but everybody is. What it is, what it is. Okay, so I'm pulling and I'm poofing and I'm sticking. Okay. So I'm going across, I'm bringing it up. Now I'm going to go through this same hole as where we scooched it, that word. But I'm going to cut this. I'm going to put just one zip tie and combine the two as one. So I'm going under, over top the corresponding. I got the 2 pieces, and now I'm putting them together. There we go. All right, and pop it in the hole. Okay, so we're done that row. You can go around and open up your petals. Now you don't want to open them quite right up because this is a flower. So we want to keep the flower shape. So you don't want to open them right up like you would do a poof wreath. Because once we fill all these holes in, everything is going to mesh together and you won't see any of the board. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we need to cover this zip tie. And to do this, we're going to stay on the exact same row. You're going to measure out 9. You're going to poof it, and you're going to go in underneath to this 2 holes. So we're still on the same row, but these 2 holes right here that are underneath. Okay, so get your zip tie, and you're going to come up here, and somebody's here. My dogs are going to start barking. So I'm going to pause it while they have a bark attack because Lolly's home. Oh, shoot. Nope. We need to scooch over to this one. I'm sorry. Okay, so you've ended here. We need to scooch over to this one. So we're going to clamp it in. Hi, Lolly. Okay. Zip it in. And now we're going to do the 9 inch. So I again have crossed over, but I'm still on the same row. Pull your 9 inches, make your petal so it's right above here, and then you're going to zip tie it right into this hole on the same row. So underneath, up, over, and through. And zip it up. Ah, my hands are just, oh, teeth power again. There we go. That's what God gave us teeth for. It's a tool, another tool. Okay, so do you see how that's all? You can see the flower starting to form. I bet you can now picture it in your head. Okay, so now I'm going to do one more, and you're going to continue like this for this row. So you're going to pull it. I got my yellows all sticking out. Okay, again, pull it for 9 inches. Bring your hand, bring it back over top of here, and then we're going to zip it right here. So again, we're still on row 2. Just filling in gaps. Okay, so I'm going to leave you here, and I'm going to get you to finish going around the wreath in row 2. So that row will be done. It's almost starting, it almost looks like a braid when you look at it. Okay, so stuck. So you're going to continue around. So poof, zip tie, all the way around till you get to here. Once you get to here, press play again, and we'll scooch over, and we're going to finish the center and or finish around here, and then I'm going to show you how to do the center that I did. Okay, I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so we've done the whole row number 2. I've come to the end. So I am going to make a poof here, but as you'll see, we have a shared hole here, which is okay. So you're going to put, this is my last poof for here. So I'm going to do my 9 inches. So now I have a zip tie in there already, but that's okay because we're going to share the 2 holes. So you're going to come up through the bottom, poof it, go over top, and then go down through the shared hole. Zip tie was backwards. I need to shut off all electronics when I do filming and shut off the dogs. Okay, so we're here. We need to do 1 more poof. Now I'm looking at this wreath and I'm thinking this would be the cutest wreath if we had a really, really cute, like a lemonade sign or something, and we can mount it right in the center. I will have to try that. Okay, so 9 inches. Now, what we're doing is I'm poofing it here. Now you guys can see this is where we scooched over. I'm going to cut that. Now again, you can just go over top of the zip tie if you want with another zip tie, but it's just as easy to cut it if you have nail wire cutters, which I have a million pairs around. And do you think I have any? Oh, there's one. Yeah, wire cutters, so much easier. Just snip it, pull it off, and we're going to go right in there with the double piece up over top of that, both of those pieces, and down. Okay, so that is row 2 finished. So you can see how easy it is that you can just kick back, relax, and watch your TV, and it's kind of it's almost like weave away. Okay, so these 4, the new holes here, these 4, so it's row 5. That is where I'm going to put my yellow. So I still have these 2 sets. So I have 3 and 4 whole circles here, the circumference. I'm going to do them in just pink. So I'm going to cut off my yellow because I want the center to stand out a lot. So if I just do it in just the hot pink, it'll look really cool. So I'm just cutting my yellow off. And I'm going to do these 2 circumferences in just the hot pink. Okay, so we're going to scooch down here because we want our poof to cover here. So I'm just going to pull it down and zip tie it into these. So you're always just pretty much going diagonal to where you left off. And if you sit and look at it, you can tell where you want your poofs to go. So what we're doing is we want a poof thing right here to cover that zip tie. So to do that, we have to kind of bring it over our mesh. There we go. Okay, we're going to continue with 9 inches again. So now I'm only using one roll of mesh. So I'm going to do, make sure my mesh is, now we're getting to the center that you'll be able to see these petals a little more. So I'm just going to make sure that they're not all a mess. Okay, so 9 inches. So I'm poofing it here, and then I'm going to zip tie it right there. So it's almost skipping one. Or not, this one's not skipping any. The other ones we were row 2, we skipped one, and then we went back and filled those in our next pass around. This time we're not. Okay. So again, if you're all stuck, just kind of tip it upside down, grab your mesh. You can even do it straight up so it doesn't stick. So we got 9 inches. Come down, zip tie it in. Now I haven't opened really any of the poofs yet to make the actual flower, so you do see a little bit of gaps, but once I start opening everything, you won't see anything. Okay, so we got 2. We're starting our inner center here. So you can see how it's very teachable. So if you printed out the Unique in the Creek board map and marked on the map where each person needs to go, so you know, you can get them to start at row 1 and a certain hole, so everybody's doing the exact same thing, and then just draw a line on your map where they scooch over. It's just, they can go at their own pace because then they just follow the pattern. And once they got the, like the poof thing is so easy, you know, you don't even need a ruler, nothing. You just, everything's 9 inches. And if you just get if you are teaching classes, do yourself a favor and buy yourself a sleeve of like Solo red cups or something, and you can put the zip ties into cups for people so you can count them out, give them a few extra for practicing or if they screw up or whatever, and that way they don't have zip ties all over the table. What am I doing here? I'm trying to do this without looking. Now, if you want, you can do the center, these poofs a little bit smaller. Instead of 9 inches, making maybe 7 inches. So it goes bigger and then a little bit smaller and then in the center. But for teaching's sake, I'm going to keep it at the 9 inches so I don't confuse everybody. But if you're feeling daring, you can gradually make it going smaller towards the center, like pretty much like a real flower. Okay, so I'm going to pause you guys here because you don't need to watch me do this. So I'm going to continue on. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No. Wait, don't listen to me. I have 1, 2, 3, and then I have 4. This will be the 4th. So I'm going to cut that zip tie and then put another zip tie over it, so I'll have a double space here, right? And then I'm going to scooch over to this one right here because I want to poof here. So these inner ones, I think I will make it a little bit smaller than 9 inches. So I'm just probably going to fold my board back a little bit and maybe do 7 inches, just so I don't have the center that I need to do really, really big. So once you scooch over, you make your poofs, and then these 4 in the center will be empty, and we are going to make a center with mesh, with the yellow mesh. So continue on here, do this third and then the 4th circumference, and once you're done that, you can cut off your mesh, press play, and we will make the center. I will see you in a minute. Okay, welcome back. So I have completed my wreath. So you can see I have the 4 centers left. I've cut off the pink roll. I did the inside, the very inside petals, only 7 inches. So you can see they're a little bit smaller than the 9-inch ones. So then I just have to do the center yellow 7 inches. Okay, so what you're going to do now is, and I already started, you're going to flip your board over and you're going to bring all your zip ties and pop them all into the holes. And you just press down on them and they pop nicely into the holes. Okay, and then you're going to cut off the tails. Now I cut off most of them already. I just have a pair of wire cutters. You can just, if you could just get a pair of wire cutters, like even cheap ones from the dollar store, and just dedicate those for clipping your zip tie tails. It saves your scissors and your hands. Okay, so you can tell I have all my holes filled in, and I just have the 4 center ones left for my yellow center. So I'm going to flip this over. Now you can start opening your and moving your flower petals around if you want right now, or you can wait till the end. Wait until you get your mesh in. I like to do it at the end because I sit and I sit for about a half an hour and play around with all the mesh and open them nice and fold them nice and everything. So I will probably do that. But isn't that pretty? You probably can't see it really good on the camera, so I will take a picture when I have totally got it completed. But once we put the center in, it'll really look like a flower. And this is like got to be one of the easiest. So if you can follow a pattern, even if you have to print out the Unique in the Creek map and for your first time and just draw on the map your pattern of where you're going to go, you could even draw it on the board. Just put your arrows like I did at the beginning. You'll be good to go. Okay, so I'm going to do the center just like I did the rest. So I'm going to start here and then I'm going to go around. Now you can do all kinds of different centers. You can wrap deco tubing around your hand and then zip tie that into the center, and by the time you do all 4, you'll have a big spray of loops and stuff. That would look really cool. You could do burlap in your center, so if you were doing like a poly mesh on the outside, you could do a burlap center, just like we did here, to give it some texture. You pretty much can do anything. I'm just going to do simple mesh only because I am putting this outside by my pool. I'm going to spray this with the UV spray, and it lasts pretty good, the deco mesh, and it's plastic, right? So it's waterproof already. So what I'm going to do is, this is the leftover I had from going around. I'm just going to scrunch it again at the ends. Oh, these dogs. Is there somebody here? Okay, so I'm going to anchor it in like we did right at the beginning. Well, hopefully you can see that. I'm just anchoring it into one of the holes, sets of holes there. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to make these 7-inch poofs. So I just have a ruler, and I just stuck the ruler in here and pulled up to 7 inches. Now this is really thin mesh, so I may have to go around a few times. I'm not sure. We'll see how it looks when I do the first one. Yeah, it looks like I might have to, because you'll be able to see through it. let's see. I'll go around once. Now if you have the good quality mesh, you won't have to double up or go around twice. Yeah, so you know what I'm going to do? I am going to, because I don't have very much mesh left on here, I'm going to actually just fold it in half. Yeah, this is the Taiwan stuff. I bought this at Craft Outlet, crossing my fingers, hoping it would be kind of a half decent mesh. But I should have known it was yellow. Everyone is sold out of yellow, so. Okay, there. That's better. So I just doubled that piece of mesh I had. I just doubled it. So if you are using thin mesh, you have to use 2 rolls. But I quite like the 2 rolls, the different color inside the other petal. Reminds me of lemonade for some reason. Probably because all the lemonade signs at Hobby Lobby are like pink and yellows. Okay, so now I anchored it in again. So I'm going to make these poofs 7 inches, the same as the very inside ones. So I just got a ruler here. So I just put the 0 against the zip tie. I'm going to pull it up to about 7. And, oh yeah, that's better. And zip it in. The fun thing about wreathing is if you make a mistake, especially with our system, it's really easy to fix, and you don't tell anybody where your mistakes are. I say that all the time when I'm teaching craft workshops, that there's no mistakes in crafting. The only mistake is when you tell somebody that there's a mistake, because 9 times out of 10 they'll never even know. Especially when I'm teaching painting classes, you know, if they have a little bit of a bleed or something, they know that there's a bleed there, but I'm like, you don't tell anybody, you don't point it out that there's a bleed there, because nobody will be able to see it. This is going to be so cute. Oh shoot, I went in the wrong hole. Now, I know it's really hard to see what I'm doing because we're getting really tight quarters in here, but I'm just doing simple loops like we did around into those 4 holes and zipping them in. Now you don't have to make your center with mesh, you can do whatever you want, but this is the most economical way and easy way to, especially if you're teaching. And it's really pretty. So this is my second last hole. We're almost done. Now I'm probably going to put a stem, because I'm going to put a stem, make a stem and leaves for all my pink and yellow flowers for my lattice wall. Okay, we're on our last one. Woohoo! Pull it up to 7. And now there's a zip tie here for where we anchored it. I'm just going to go over top of it. I'm not even going to cut it off because it's so tight in here right now. As long as the head of that zip tie is not popped in the hole, you'll be able to fit. See how right there you can fit it in and just go around that zip tie. Easier said than done. There we go. Okay, so if you wanted to, which I probably will, just snip this one off, pull it out, and then tighten this one. Okay, pop them all in the holes. We're going to cut the stems off of the zip tie. I have a bowl that I put always the ends into, so I just dump it into the garbage. Look at that nice clean back. Okay, now this I'm going to cut off. That's the end of the yellow. So this wreath, I used a full roll of pink, of 10-inch, and because I went in with yellow, which I really like the two colors, I used probably a half a roll of yellow, and this is the thin yellow, so I had to double it up. Now you're just going to open and twist around your center. Now I have double pieces in here, so I'm going to open all of them separately. So it makes a really funky center. Twist them all. Almost looks like a bath, what are those bath scrubbies, or what are those loofahs? You know, the loofahs you can get. And actually probably glue a loofah into the center. It'd probably be the same thing. Anyways, okay, you guys get the gist. So you can fix up your center. Like I said, I sit for about 15, 20 minutes, sometimes half an hour, just fixing petals. Because if you're going to make a wreath, you might as well do it properly and make it nice, because you just spent all that time on it, so take time to fix your petals. Okay, so there's my yellow center. Obviously it's not done. I have to open it all up. And then I'm going to go around and I'm going to fix and just make sure all these are the way I like it. So I want these center ones to be like folded over. That one's in the back. Okay, so that's it for this wreath. So now the rest is up to you for just going around and fixing your petals and placing them where you like them. There we go. Of course, I'm going to have to fix that center, but there we go. It's not done. I will post the completed picture when it is done, so hopefully you guys can see a little bit of it. And there's the back side. And thank you for joining me. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.